This is not a prophecy of the future, but the reality of the present. The global chessboard is set, and the struggle between nations has never been more intense. Power clashes, interests collide, and the truth is buried beneath layers of deception. But we will cut through the fog and reveal the truth. I am V, and this is V for Vision. A perspective that sees through international politics. We do not follow fate, we create the future. Let us begin. On February 1st, 2025, Trump raised the sword of trade on the stage of American politics, declaring an unforeseen trade storm aimed at Canada, Mexico, and China. With his resolute declaration, the thunder of tariffs seemed to tear through the silent sky. This was not just a change in trade policy, but a clarion call for a new era. Reverberating across the globe, the trade sword Trump wielded was sharp and full of ambition, bringing with it waves of profound and unpredictable repercussions. The motivations he declared found their roots in the weight of his voice. Illegal immigration, the spread of drugs, these seemed to be the incentives behind the storm he was unleashing. He was not only protecting America's borders, but also seeking to reinforce his leadership on the global stage. It appeared as though all the problems could be solved with tariffs, this sharp blade of economic action. But how would this seemingly simple economic strike ripple through the complex web of international relations? Could it truly smooth over the cracks that lay beneath? Trump's decision, on the surface, seemed like an economic move, but it was in fact part of a political chess game. Inside America, illegal immigration and the drug issue had long been a hot potato, and his words were filled with intolerance and a firm resolve. Tariffs, a once cold economic tool, were now in his hands like a weapon, cutting through political borders in North America and Asia. Perhaps he believed this blade would strike at the heart of the issues and compel Canada, Mexico, and China to bow to America's demands. Yet this unilateral approach, while decisive, could not mask the hidden risks. As he moved step by step into this storm, did he ever foresee the destruction it would bring to the world? Political storms are always unpredictable. As Trump's trade blade slashed through the skies over the Americas, Canada and Mexico did not panic. They stood firm like rocks in the storm, unwavering despite the turmoil. Canada's Trudeau, like a thoughtful sage, announced retaliatory tariffs on American goods. These tariffs fell like heavy hammers on American wines, snacks, and furniture, creating obstacles and tensions in markets that should have been mutually beneficial.
We didn't ask for this.
Trudeau's voice carried a tone of helplessness. But we must protect our economy and our workers. In the face of overwhelming power, he chose to fight back, not only for Canada, but also to defend the dignity of a nation once proud of its multicultural identity. Mexico, too, refused to back down. President Sheinbaum's statement was filled with strong resolve. Her words rang like a warning bell across the Americas. We are willing to cooperate, but we will not tolerate unfair trade practices. Mexico's response was like a steadfast stone in the storm, refusing to bow and fiercely protecting its national interests and sovereignty. China, the sleeping Eastern giant, also made its response to Trump's challenge. The Ministry of Commerce of China seemed to awaken from its slumber, issuing a powerful call to action, filing a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization, WTO. This was not only a protest against America's trade policies, but a challenge to the global trade order. China emphasized that trade disputes should be settled through dialogue and negotiation, not dominated by unilateralism. In that moment, the voice of the East was loud and undeniable. Yet this trade tug-of-war inevitably opened the door to even greater conflict. The smoke of the trade war was not just a confrontation between two great powers. It was a reflection of the upheaval in the global economic structure, and this clash and confrontation would be forever etched in the memory of the world. Europe, the ancient continent, long seen as a crossroads of culture and economy, now faced a heavy struggle in the wake of Trump's hardline policies. The voice of the European Union grew urgent and worried amidst the storm. Leaders from Germany and France, like navigators in the storm, tried to steer the ship of hope, but were helpless against the pounding waves. In Germany, once the economic giant of Europe, growth slowed, and manufacturing industries faced a downturn. With Trump's tariffs in place, the fate of key industries like automobiles and machinery seemed entwined with crisis. In France, the streets still echoed with the voices of protest, as public dissatisfaction over energy prices and unemployment grew like an endless thunderstorm that couldn't be quelled. And in the UK, the shadow of Brexit still hung heavily in the air, with the economy drifting like a lost ship, struggling to navigate through the fog. Italy and Spain were not spared either. Financial crises and high unemployment rates threatened to push these once thriving nations toward collapse. As Trump's decisions unleashed economic waves, it seemed as though the fates of the global community had all been drawn into this relentless storm. Experts predicted that the trade war would send inflation soaring in the U.S., and that the daily expenses for American households would inevitably rise. Global trade might shrink by 10%, and the U.S. economy's growth would fall short of expectations. When the global trade chains were severed, industries everywhere felt the pain. Germany's automotive industry, the tech industry's semiconductor market, even Mexico's industrial base, all were caught in the whirlpool of this storm. The instability of the global supply chain was altering the very laws that governed the world, and markets reliant on imports were bound to suffer. Yet, as with every storm, a glimmer of light eventually breaks through. Leaders from around the world, no matter how heavy the challenge, continue searching for a sliver of hope. People everywhere, from America, Canada, Mexico, Europe, Asia, and even Africa and Latin America, are seeking a steady course amidst this economic upheaval. Perhaps this storm will mark a turning point in history, rewriting the fate of the world. But it is also in this tempestuous sky that we begin to understand, no matter whether it's the sword of trade or the game of politics, it all ultimately points to the light of the future. In this uncertain era, all the suffering and struggles may be leading us toward the arrival of that dawn. In this global storm that sweeps across the world, as the destinies of nations intertwine like broken waves, we should remember true power does not come from the concentration of authority, but from every soul brave enough to stand up, reflect, and change. Great power may oppress for a time, but faith and courage will ultimately transcend the darkness and illuminate every silent street. When the future years write our story into legend, perhaps this storm will not be the end, but a new beginning. In that time, all the trade, all the disputes will become the past, and the strength emerging from within will determine the future direction of humanity.
Thank you for watching V for Vision, your lens into global politics. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join the conversation, stay informed, and keep questioning the world around you.